say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. Hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. I did. My son and I went down to Pensacola, Florida. You may have seen the video we put out, and went out and checked out some dolphins. So if you haven't had a chance to see that video, please check it out. It's really cool. If you ever get a chance to get down to Pensacola, Florida, it's a wonderful place to go, folks. It really is nice. Water's great. It's clear. Beaches are white. Scenery is beautiful. The food is absolutely outstanding. And get a chance to go out on a boat, you can get to see the dolphins. And there are actual tours that take place down there where you can go out on a boat and pay to see the dolphins. But hey, if you're ever down there when we're down there, give me a shout out. Send me an email. Be happy to let you tag along with us and show them to you ourselves. Before we dive into tonight's show, a couple of things. Number one, as a reminder, we will not be doing the show on Thursday night because I will be leaving in the morning for New Mexico, to Roswell, where I'll be boarding a flying saucer and we'll be going off into wherever land that is. Mark and Mindy type Mars. No, I'm actually going to the air races, which used to be held in Reno for years and years and years. And now it's being held for the first time in Roswell, New Mexico. So me and a buddy of mine that I have known since I was 16 years old. He's also an aviator, former military veteran as well. We're going to head on down there and go check out the air races. So if you happen to be in Roswell, New Mexico, or you're going to the air races, send me an email at douglasducote.com and let me know where you're going to be at. We can hook up, say hello, take a selfie, BS, whatever. Love to meet you. So tonight's show will be shorter than normal because I've still got some packing to do and a lot of other things to take care of. But we do have a good show for you tonight with some things that I'd like to talk about that's very important to American patriots. And some of it's very, very disturbing. And we're going to discuss that in more detail. While the Democrats in Congress continue to lie and tell their people, AKA sheep, that Trump is rounding up innocent black and brown people off the streets instead of criminals, a massive nationwide crackdown on the deadly Sinaloa cartel took place over the past few days with 600 arrests. It included 171 suspects in New England as part of a week-long operation that targeted one of the world's most powerful drug trafficking organizations. The Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, announced yesterday that from August 25th through the 29th, agents arrested 617 people with ties to that cartel across 23 different field divisions in the United States. The enforcement action, billed as a DEA surge, also netted a massive haul of drugs, firearms, and cash. Among the seizures was 480 kilograms of fentanyl powder, 2,209 kilograms of methamphetamines, 7,469 kilograms of cocaine, 16.5 kilograms of heroin, more than 714,000 counterfeit pills, 420 firearms, and $11 million in cash. These results demonstrate the full weight of the DA's commitment to protecting the American people under Donald J. Trump. DA Administrator Terrence Cole said in the release statement, "Every kilogram of poison seized, every dollar stripped from the cartels, and every arrest we make represents lives saved and communities defended. DEA will not relent until the cartel is dismantled from the top to the bottom." In New England, officials said 171 suspected cartel members were arrested and 244 kilograms of drugs, 22,115 counterfeit pills, and 1.3 million in cash, along with 33 guns. Arrest totals included 64 people in Connecticut, 49 in Massachusetts, 33 in New Hampshire, 11 in Maine, and 10 in Rhode Island, and 3 in Vermont. There are public enemy number one in New England, said Jared Forget, special agent in charge of DA's New England division. One of the largest coordinated takedowns in the region came on August 27th in Franklin, New Hampshire, where 27 people were arrested after a 3-month investigation. Authorities said the suspect had trafficked fentanyl and methamphetamines from Lawrence, Massachusetts. The operation underscored the cartel's reach into both large urban centers and small rural communities. This shows that the Sinaloa cartel tentacles spread far and deep. No community is spared, said Jim Scott, special agent in charge of the Louisville division, which covers Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia. And I'll repeat, as Trump is trying to make America safe again and take back the streets from these horrible, illegal, criminal gang members, drug traffickers, sex trafficking of women and children, the Democrat Party up in Washington, D.C., is against that, and they are lying and telling their people, aka sheep, that he just hates brown and black people. Well, I'm sorry that it happens to be brown and black people that are coming across our border and not white people. You know, this is just one more reason why I can't wait for midterms to get here, for the GOP to take back massive, massive seats in the House and Senate and run the Democrats completely out of town because they no longer represent the people, especially not the people in their district. Now, I want to talk about something it's a story about a little boy who's dead now. And I'm going to explain to you what happened. The little boy went missing. Law enforcement down in New Orleans went out trying to find this little boy. And they did find him, half eaten by an alligator in a lake. Whether or not the little 12-year-old boy ran away from home or how he got where he did in the lake is yet to be found. But the bottom line is, he was 12 years old and his name was Brian Vasquez. That's the little boy right there. And he was reported missing by his mother. And then part of his body was found in the lake. He was attacked and killed by an alligator. Now, that in itself is horrible, right? Well, there's his mother right there. Detectives confirm that Ms. Vasquez was taken into custody around 5:30 p.m. on Sunday and charged with second-degree cruelty to juveniles and neglect homicide. Now, you may be asking yourself, how did his mother, what's she being arrested for, right? Well, according to authorities in New Orleans, there's been a pattern of both neglect and abuse over Brian's 12 years. And so we believe we can prove that pattern of neglect and abuse led to severe injury, undue pain and suffering on his part, said New Orleans Police Department Deputy Superintendent Nicholas Vernon during a press conference that was held on Sunday. Police said Brian was previously removed from the home as an infant after sustaining injuries, including a skull fracture, broken legs, a collapsed lung, but was later returned by the Louisiana Department of Child and Family Services, aka DCFS. When he was 3 months old, she broke his skull, his legs, and beat him until he had a collapsed lung. At that point, she was arrested and he was removed from the home. But then, later on, DCFS returned him back to the home to live with that animal. Police said the investigation is ongoing and has now been assigned to the Homicide Division. Detectives are pursuing every fact and lead, but no further details are being released at this time. Officials extend their condolences to Brian's family and loved ones during what they described as an incredible, difficult time. Now, here's where I have a problem with this. Every person at the DCFS, Department of Children Family Services, that was involved with returning this little boy to a woman who broke his legs, fractured his skull, and collapsed his lungs. Every person involved in that aspect, to include a judge, who I don't have the name yet, but I will, that agreed with DCFS to let this horrible person take that child back. The judge and the DCFS employees need to be arrested and charged with neglect of this child. Explain to me, I don't care how far left liberal you are, explain to me how it is okay to allow that little boy back into the custody of that woman who fractured his skull, broke his legs, and collapsed his lung. It's not okay. And I'm going to be following this story. And I'm going to be reporting in the near future about this. In the future, soon, like next week, I will get you information as to who this judge was and who the supervisors were at Department of Children and Family Services. And I'm going to ask you to help me reach out to authorities and demand that those people that allowed that little boy back into custody of that evil bitch be held and charged with neglect. It's a tragic accident. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe she knew there was an alligator there and took him and threw him in the lake and then reported him missing. I don't know. I don't have all those details yet. They're not releasing all those details yet. What we do know is the little boy went missing. There was an Amber Alert out for him. Law enforcement finally find him, his body in the lake, half eaten by the alligator. And then they go back and they arrest her due to past neglect issues. Maybe they think that she just wasn't watching him and allowed him to wander off into the lake. I don't know. It matters not. What matters is the evil bastards that are as evil as she is for allowing that little boy back in her custody. And so this is where you will come in. And I will ask you to make phone calls, to send emails, and go on the social media sites of the people that were responsible for allowing that little boy back into custody of that evil, horrible, subhuman, despicable person. More to come. Among the files made public by the House Oversight Committee over this past weekend is a document that stands out for its tone. A glossy 238-page scrapbook that offers a rare and unusual intimate glimpse of Jeffrey Epstein's self-cultured network, the infamous birthday book, as it's being called, complied by his partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell, in 2003 for Epstein's 50th birthday. Now, the Democrats up in Washington, D.C., and the liberal media and CNN and MSNBC, all they're talking about is that Donald Trump supposedly wrote in this book and drew a picture, which Trump denies he drew a picture. I don't think he's denying that he wrote in the book because he was acquaintances with Jeffrey Epstein. We know that. All right, there's nothing new there. But there's notes from President Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, as well as photographs of girlfriends, animals, children's drawings, and politicians. A tableau that feels all the more unsettling today. Maxwell wrote to Epstein at the beginning of the book that she wanted to gather stories and old photographs to jog your memory about places, people, and different events. She hoped he would derive as much pleasure from looking through it as she did assembling it for him. So she took this book to all of his acquaintances and had them sign something. Later in the book, a photo of the two appeared with a caption that read, "The first date, marked with the year 1991. And as we know, Maxwell was found guilty in 2021 of sex trafficking and other offenses and is serving a 20-year prison term. Prosecutors said she played a central role in Epstein's scheme, luring underage girls into what began as massages and escalated into sexual abuse. Now 63 and incarcerated since her 2020 arrest, Maxwell told Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanchard in late August that she had no role in the sexual exploiting of minors. When asked about the birthday book, she told Blanchard that she could only remember some parts of it, adding that it had been years since she compiled it or put it together. Among the book entries is a apparent note from Bill Clinton, Democrat former president, where the former Democrat president praises Epstein's childlike curiosity and his drive to make a difference, as well as taking care of his friends. Dershowitz, former Harvard University law professor, who once represented Epstein during the criminal investigation, used his birthday note to make a joke about influencing media coverage. Dear Jeffrey, as a birthday gift to you, I managed to obtain an early version of the Vanity Unfair article. I talked them into changing the focus from you to Bill Clinton, as you will see from the enclosed expert. Happy birthday and best regards, the entry said. Dorchett has repeatedly denied wrongdoing as it relates to Epstein. The birthday book also contained sentimental messages from family and friends. In one note, Epstein's mother wrote that she's been very busy reminiscing since Griswold asked me to write about you. Jeff, you have been a good son since day one, and we have been proud of you ever since, Epstein's mother said. I recall you refused to sleep as a child unless I read a story from Grandma's golden book that she brought for 25 cents, she added. At PTA meetings, I begged your teachers to improve your handwriting. She also referenced Epstein's life as a bachelor, as well as his prominent media shout-outs. At age 27, Cosmopolitan magazine featured you as Bachelor of the Month, she wrote. Today, you still hold that title. Jeff, I'm so sorry that Dad can't share the pride we have regarding your achievement, she added. He would have been overjoyed reading the article about you in New York Magazine. The book features hundreds of photos from throughout Epstein's life until age 50, including pictures of him as a child and as a teenager. Some of the early images included family pictures, former school pictures, photos of him hanging out with his friends as teenagers. The book also had revealing images of Epstein shirtless, Epstein embracing women, and what appeared to be a censored photo of him and Maxwell laughing and embracing in a pool. Pictures of matted lions and zebras were also in the book. A picture of a woman in a bikini was also included with the caption, visiting you down in Palm Beach. Can't get a second of privacy with you and a camera around, haha. Upon the file's release, Representative James Comer, chair of the Oversight Committee, accused Democrats of previously cherry-picking the documents. As I told you in the beginning of this story, that's exactly what they did. They're not telling you about the Democrats that are in this. All they're talking about is Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Now, what won't the Democrats in Washington, D.C., and the liberal news media, and CNN and MSNBC tell you? They won't tell you the truth. We do know from Maxwell's interview with law enforcement that she says she never at any time saw anything inappropriate during the friendship Jeffrey Epstein had with Donald Trump back when, way before he was president of the United States. We do know that Donald Trump did fly a couple of times on Epstein's jet. We do know that when Epstein was first arrested for having sex with children, Donald Trump cut off the friendship. And we also know now, due to files being released, that Donald Trump also worked with the FBI to give them information about this guy. So the Democrats in D.C. and the liberals are trying to paint this to be about Donald Trump in this book, in this scrapbook. If you listen to what they're talking about on CNN and MSNBC, for crying out loud. But what they won't tell you and have yet to even acknowledge is that Jeffrey Epstein was invited to the White House by then President Bill Clinton, not once, not twice, but 17 times. We know that from the visitor logs that have been made public. Why did Jeffrey Epstein go visit Bill Clinton 17 times? Maybe Monica Lewinsky could answer that for us. Was she under the desk taking care of Jeffrey Epstein too? I don't know. Be a good question to ask. We also knew that Bill Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's jet 4 times, according to flight logs. Democrats won't talk about that. Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend and child sex trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell, attended Bill and Hillary Clinton's daughter's wedding. Democrats won't talk about that. And we know from after the FBI raids and when Epstein was arrested this last time, that hanging on his wall was that drawing of Bill Clinton in the blue Monica Lewinsky dress. Democrats won't talk about that. Nope. When they had the opportunity, when they had 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, under Barack Obama, under Joe Biden, to include the Department of Justice and the FBI, why didn't they release all these files then? Because you knew how bad it was going to look on Bill Clinton. But instead, you want to try and frame this into something that you just can't stick to the wall. You're trying. God knows you're trying. But the American people are watching you. We're listening to you. We're reading the files as they're being released. And we see Democrats' names all over them. Not Donald Trump. But yet the Democrats in Washington, D.C. want to continue to push this narrative because they got nothing else. It isn't about what we can do to help change things and make things better than what Donald Trump's doing. There's no policy, nothing. It's all, their entire platform right now is Trump derangement syndrome. That's it. That's it. They have nothing else but hate Trump, no matter what he does. No matter how good our economy's doing, no matter how prices are coming out of the grocery store, no matter gas prices are plummeting, we're finally going back to our own oil and gas and not being dependent on foreign oil and gas from countries that don't like us. We're finally securing our border. We're finally getting these horrible criminals off our streets. All they want to do is lie to you and spin shit. Speaking of lying and spinning shit, Representative Jasmine Ghetto Bitch Crockett, Democrat, Texas, sparked backlash on social media yesterday after a video surfaced of her saying that local law enforcement's role is only to solve crimes, not prevent them. That's who's up and coming on the Democrat Party. Clip from Crockett's appearance on the Grounded podcast, which premiered last Wednesday, went viral as critics seized on her remarks. I want to be clear that law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to solve crimes, not necessarily prevent them from happening per se, she said. And Democrats don't understand how they lost the House, the Senate, and 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Crockett, one of the Democrat Party's most outspoken congresswomen, made the statement during a discussion on how law enforcement was utilized by the Trump administration to clean up crime in Washington, D.C. I think it's been terrible, Crockett said, of Trump's use of the U.S. National Guard and various law enforcement agencies in the city. How is it that we have a government that is hostile towards its people? Because that's what it is. We're in the midst of a hostile government takeover. And it is our government that is bringing the hostility. The lawmaker explained how the Guard, ICE, and other law enforcement agencies aren't trained for what Trump is using them for. And then made her point that local law enforcement job is not to prevent crime. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. Journalist Nick Sorter shared the clip on X with a rebut. What the fuck, Jasmine Crockett? Law enforcement isn't to prevent crime? Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they're supposed to do. Just when I thought Democrats couldn't get any dumber, Jasmine Crockett opens her mouth again. Scientist and author Matt Van Swoel blasted Crockett, stating, truly one of the dumbest statements ever made by anyone on planet Earth. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, Deputy Chief of Staff, Alex Henning, commented, terrifying how stupid people get into higher office positions. Law enforcement officer and consultant Dion Joseph responded to Crockett's claim, Jasmine Crockett is wrong. It is our job to prevent crime. And of course, the American people know that. We just need more support, he said. I didn't sign up to just wait for people to be victimized, he wrote on X, in addition to sharing the video of her stupid ass remarks. And the Democrats don't get it. Now, I know what the Democrats and liberals are saying right now. Doug, there's no fucking way in hell Jasmine Crockett said something like that. Not our Jasmine. She's a congresswoman, for crying out loud. Democrat of Texas. She's not that stupid like you are, Doug. Even though you used to be a veteran law enforcement officer, and even though you were in the military, and even though you were in the National Guard, and even though you know exactly how ICE works and how law enforcement in general works, and how the National Guard is deployed in positions to work with law enforcement. So I thought, why not just go ahead then and share her own words for you.
They're supposed to solve crimes, not necessarily prevent them from happening, per se.
Yeah.
I want to be clear that, law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to solve crimes, not necessarily prevent them from happening, per se. I want to be clear.
This is the up-and-coming leader amongst several of them that are fighting for that position, like AOC and Alihan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, Cory Booker, Hankam Jeffries. This is why, Democrats, you lost. And this is why you're going to lose big time at midterms.
I want to be clear that, law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to solve crimes.
A sitting member of Congress for the Democrats doesn't even know what the job of law enforcement in America is. And you fucking idiots in the Democrat Party out there don't understand why you're not in control of shit anymore. Just keep putting people like her out there to spew her no merit bullshit and lie. Typical Democrat lying her ass off. Now, I want to believe that she's not that stupid. But then again, considering everything else that's come out of her mouth, she might just be that damn stupid. Or she knows that her base is stupid and is just going to agree with her and spread her lies. Like the base does for Rashida Tlaib and Alihan Omar and AOC and Cory Booker and all the rest of them up there in Washington. Couldn't make that shit up if you tried, could you? Nope. Not at all. Couldn't make it up that Bill Clinton had Jeffrey Epstein at the White House 17 damn times. Why won't you talk about that, Democrats? Liberals? CNN, MSNBC? Why? White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt lambasted media outlets today for their slow response in covering the fatal stabbing of a Ukrainian refugee, Iryna Zorotsky. She was 23 years old. She was brutally attacked and killed for no reason at all. The video is all out there on social media by that black thug that Donald Trump wants to take off the streets of America. And the Democrats up in Washington, D.C. don't want him off the streets. And aren't reporting on this because, oh, she's a white woman and he's a black man. She's 23 years old. She came to the U.S. seeking safety from the war in Ukraine, but was stabbed to death on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina. She was riding home from work at a pizzeria and still wearing her uniform when this guy stabbed her to death for no reason whatsoever. You can watch the video. He's sitting behind her on this train and just jumps up and just starts stabbing the shit out of her. He's been identified as 34-year-old Douglas Brown, who was arrested and charged with murder. Footage of the attack has gone viral on all social media platforms and fueled national debate about crime and public safety. Leavitt argued the media was slow to report on the story. This is madness. Well, it's because it didn't fit into their playbook. This monster should have been locked up, and this woman should still be alive. But Democrat politicians, liberal judges, and weak prosecutors would rather virtual signal than lock up criminals and protect the communities, she warned. Perhaps more shameful of all, the majority of the media, many outlets in this room, decided that her murder was not worth reporting on originally because it does not fit their preferred narrative. Leavitt compared the case to the 2023 Daniel Penny incident in New York City, where the Marine veteran was charged after fatally restraining Jordan Needley on the subway train. Many of the journalists in this room spilled plenty of ink trying to smear Daniel Penny for defending a subway car rider from a deranged lunatic in New York City. But none of those same reporters lifted a finger to write stories about this actual murder, she said, because the guy's black and she's white. Here's the truth that every American must know. Too many innocent people across the country continue to pay the price in the failed experiment known as cashless bail that has been championed by the Democrat Party for years. Levitt argued that Democrats in North Carolina and nationwide are pushing a soft on crime agenda that leaves innocent Americans vulnerable. These reckless policies have turned too many American cities into hunting grounds for career criminals who mock our justice system, drain law enforcement resources, and wreak havoc on law-abiding citizens, she said. Enough is enough. Numerous news outlets have gotten around finally to covering the murder this week, although some are framing their coverage as conservatives and Republicans trying to take advantage of the situation publicly. You just can't make this shit up if you tried. You know, I was a Democrat for years. My whole family was. It wasn't till into my adult life that I realized that the party had been hijacked by far left liberal ideology, and they no longer represented the typical Democrat family out there. And the first big indication I had that there was a problem was in 1985 when I joined the United States military, and I couldn't understand when voting came up that all my buddies in the military were all voting Republican. I was afraid to let them know I was a Democrat, like they were all voting Republican. So I went to my platoon sergeant, who I trusted, confidence, and said, I don't know what to do here. I don't understand. And he said, Doug, I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you this. And this is a guy who was he had been in 30 years in the Army. He was a Vietnam veteran. He was getting ready to retire. He said, if you plan to make this a career and stay in the military, what you'll find is that when a Republican is president, you will have everything you need to do your job. You'll have the support, you'll have the equipment, you'll have the bullets, you'll have the fuel for your helicopters, you'll have the helicopters, you'll have the parts. But when a Democrat president gets in office, the first thing they cut from the budget is the military defense budget. And they farm it out for social projects. And that was a shocker to me. I thought, wow, I didn't know this. So I started doing my homework. Of course, we didn't have the internet back then. We didn't have Chat GPT. We went to the library. You read books. You used microfiche. You looked at articles. And so I did. I was a book nut. I loved to go to the library, especially if I got ready to deploy somewhere overseas. I wanted to learn about the culture. I wanted to learn about the enemy we were going to be up against. I wanted to get as much information as I could to help me and my fellow soldiers when we get there. And I started learning that he was right. That first thing they cut is their military budget. And that in itself, before I knew about the liberal ideology and the hijacking of the party, got me to reconsider who I was going to vote for. Because I had planned on making the military a career. I had planned on retiring from the military. I loved what I was doing. I loved my job. I loved flying in helicopters. I loved doing all that stuff. And then as time went on, I started digging deeper into the Democrat Party. And then I was shocked to find that, and I didn't know this, I literally did not know this. That we were the party that fought against Abraham Lincoln releasing the slaves. And the Republican Party was founded to end segregation and end the slavery stuff. I didn't know that. It's like, what the hell? And the more deeper I looked into it, the more I found out that the Democrat Party was responsible for Planned Parenthood. And its inception was to eliminate African American babies. And then I found out that the Democrat Party was for segregation. And then the biggest shocker, the Democrat Party founded the KKK. And it was at that moment in life that a light bulb went off, and I went, I don't know. I don't agree with this shit. They're a bunch of fucking racists. And I left the party. I became a registered Republican. Now today, I don't really consider myself a Republican. I consider myself an independent because I just look at the facts. That's where I want my vote to go. What's going to be best for we the people. And the more I educate myself on things, the more I find out, and I'm going to share this with you in more detail next week or maybe the week after next. You know how the Democrats right now up in Washington, D.C. and the liberals are against MAGA? Make America great again. That makes us racist, bigots. You know who the first president, or let me back up, the first person to ever utter those words, if you vote me in to be president of the United States, I will make America great again. The first person to encircle the wagons around MAGA, look it up, Democrats and liberals. It was Bill Clinton. But you don't hear the Democrats in Washington, D.C. talking about that, do you? Just like they don't talk about what he did with the Epstein bullshit. Nor does CNN or MSNBC or the liberal media. Nope. Democrat does it, we cover it up. Republican does it, it's horrible. That's right. Bill Clinton was the very first person to utter on the campaign trail, I will make America great again. Not Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is the racist bigot for MAGA. Where was your concern when Bill Clinton did it? Where was your concern when Bill Clinton had Jeffrey Epstein at the White House 17 times, when his girlfriend was involved with sex trafficking minors, attended Bill and Hillary's daughter's wedding? You're a bunch of fucking hypocrites. That's why I left that fucking party. They're the party of racists. They're the party of hate. Now, I have some liberal friends that said, oh, Doug, well, that all changed. They switched like magic. And the Democrats became the party against racist. And the Republicans became the racist. Really? Then you explain to me why in every single major metropolitan city in the United States of America, every single one of them that is run by a Democrat mayor, that's where the black on black crime is. That's where black youth are shooting each other down and gunning each other down in the streets. It's an epidemic of black on black crime. That's where the Antifa is allowed to run rampant. And BLM was allowed to run rampant and burn and loot shit. And in every major metropolitan city in America run by a Democrat, pick one. I don't give a fuck which one you pick. Pick one. Where's all this crime taking place? In the black communities that have been forgotten about and allowed to be taken over by this criminal thug element of black youth. But Donald Trump comes along and wants to clean all that shit up, and he's a racist bigot. Well, there's your proof, folks, that the Democrat Party hasn't changed since the days of slavery, since the days of inventing the KKK and being for segregation. If they hadn't changed, if they did change, they'd have cleaned up these fucking cities by now. They'd have done things to improve and help the Democrat areas of black communities. But they haven't. Never. Even when Barack Obama was president. Oh, it's our first black president who appointed a black head of the Department of Justice. 2 of them. And what did they do for the black community? And the Democrats don't understand while Donald Trump got the black vote and the Hispanic vote. Keep pushing your lies. Keep pushing your falsehoods, your no merit bullshit. And you're never going to be back in charge of anything ever again. And that is a great thing for this country. The Democrat Party has lost its way. They do not represent the average man and woman out there that isn't into politics, that's just trying to survive, put food on the table for their family, take their kids to soccer practice and cheerleader practice. Democrat Party left you guys a long, long time ago. And you better wake up and realize it. Because for you to continue to support them, I'm just going to say it, that makes you a racist bigot. Because the Democrat Party of today, the leadership of the DNC and its members of Congress, the elders and the up and comings are racist bigots. And if you support them, then you are too. And I'm saying that as a former Democrat. Wisen up and not walk, but run away from that horrible fucking party that doesn't represent you anymore. And if it does, if you are for open borders and thinking all cops are racist bigots and all white people are racist bigots and MAGA's a horrible thing and Donald Trump's fucking guilty of everything you can possibly think of, if all that shit's really going on in your mind, then just stay right where you're at and watch what happens in midterms. When your ass gets, it's going to go down in history, my friends, as something, I can't even imagine what Donald Trump would have to do to fuck up midterms at this point. I mean, he's done enough stupid shit as it is, okay? Said a bunch of stupid shit, has done some stupid shit. But when it comes to taking care of this country and doing what he said he would do to help us, it's like clockwork. Every single thing he said he would do if you put him in office, he's doing. And the Democrats fucking hate that. Because finally, a man is keeping his word. He's got a long way to go. There are still some things happening that he promised he would take care of that he hasn't taken care of yet when it comes to basically what's happening in the Middle East with wars or what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. But all the rest of it, he's doing it. And yet, the Democrat Party up in Washington, D.C. continues to spew no merit bullshit in hopes that their base doesn't fact check them and realize they're being lied to. Folks, you have many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. Whether you're watching me tonight live on the YouTube channel, the Rumble channel, X, please like, subscribe, share the channel and your videos, the videos with your family and friends. Put it out there on social media. Let them know about the show. Again, I'll be back next week. I leave out in the morning for New Mexico. I'll be back on Monday, and I plan to be doing the show on Tuesday. While I'm in New Mexico at the air races, I'll probably put together a couple of videos or something with my cell phone and pump it out there on the different channels I'm on. Also, please check out DouglasDucote.com if you've already done so. And watch out for one another. We've got a long way to go to make this country the best it can possibly be. And Donald Trump's trying. Damn it, he's giving it his best. And every single step along the way, the Democrat Party in Washington, D.C., and their liberal media talking heads are lying and spewing hatred. And thankfully, the majority of Americans see right through it. Friends, thank you for being here. God bless you. And I will see you next week on Tuesday night. Take care. Have a wonderful and blessed evening.